A show created by the fans, for the fans. We are your home for Ohio State football coverage all year long. The Scarlet and Gray Podcast, a Network 216 production. Live weekdays on the Network 216 YouTube channel. Send us all your questions and comments on Twitter at VSG_podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Dalton, and Nick Leisure.
Good evening, Buckeye Nation, and welcome to episode number 48 of the Scarlet and Gray Podcast. I am Tyler Johnson, joined as always by Nick Leisure, Jordan Dalton. Gentlemen, happy Monday in Central Ohio. How are you guys doing on this fine March evening?
Pretty good. I love the weather.
Yeah, I would say I am great. You know why? Not only am I great because of this beautiful weather, spring ball in Columbus starts tomorrow, and I could not be more excited about this offseason.
Dude, it seems like it's gone by. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel. It feels like it's gone by so quick this year because, one, the transfer portal was crazy for so long. But then we had Bill O'Brien here for 2 weeks. Then he left. Then we had Chip Kelly. We just actually finalized our coaching staff like 3 weeks ago. So I don't know about you guys, but I just feel like it's gone by really quick.
Yeah, it definitely has.
I feel like that Missouri game was like 5 years ago.
I still haven't watched it.
That's how it feels. And you know what, Jordan? I'm happy that you didn't have to torture yourself. There's the word I'm looking for by watching that game. So good for you.
Yeah, it's probably just because I don't ever watch it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Just act like that game just didn't happen. That's probably the best way to go about it. But we got plenty to talk about tonight. It's going to be kind of a little bit of a different show because we're not going to talk so much Ohio State just because we've talked Ohio State's transfer additions at will. But we're going to talk about all the transfer additions around college football and just ones that we really think stand out to us. So might be a little bit of a shorter episode. We'll see. But before we get to any of it, guys, if you would just take a quick second, drop a thumbs up onto the video. Whether you guys know this or not, the likes actually help the channel more because what that does, that pushes the videos out to new watchers that have not seen this type of content. So drop a quick like on the video. We're trying to reach 10 likes with this video. It doesn't sound like much, but when you're averaging about 5 to 8, let's see if we can get to that 10. So drop a like on the video. If you are brand new and you want Ohio State content, not only just tonight, but every week throughout the season, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It is completely free as well to subscribe, and we really appreciate that support. As always, the Scarlet and Gray Podcast in Network 216 is also proud to be a partner of Homage Athletic Apparel. If you're a new customer on homage.com, be sure to type in your email address to get a 15% discount on your first order. They actually have a brand new MLS line coming out this week, so they've already teased it on Twitter. Make sure you guys are checking out homage.com, especially the Columbus Crew, MLS Cup champs. But also, if you're supporting another MLS team, they got all the gear for your favorite sports teams. Again, that is homage.com. Gentlemen, the transfer portal has completely changed college football. I mean, this year is probably the most insane we've seen it, I would say. We'll start off with really the first one. We didn't really talk about this a lot, but Kyle McCord, Ohio State's former starting quarterback last year, has transferred to Syracuse. Looking at McCord going to Syracuse, what are your guys' thoughts on that particular move for him? I know that it's weird considering you're a former 5-star prospect and you're going to Syracuse, but what were your guys' thoughts on, of all teams, McCord choosing to play for the Orange?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it came down to the money, honestly. I think they put together the best NIL package. Another thing to consider is where he is from. So I believe he's from Eastern Pennsylvania. So he's pretty close.
Yeah,
pretty close to New York, and he's just closer to home. So that's also a thing to consider. But yeah, I think we were throwing around ideas like Wisconsin, or Nebraska was in there at one point. And there were some other Big Ten teams that were kind of kicking the ball around. There was a rumor of Michigan also having interest. But yeah, I don't think we expected Syracuse. And I know that somebody also tweeted early in the season that we could see him transfer to Syracuse. And it was like a joke tweet, and then it actually happened. So shout out that guy for calling it. But yeah, I think it doesn't make a lot of sense for us and what we were expecting, but it might make a little bit more sense for Kyle and what he was trying to get out of. I don't think he wanted a competition. And if we're just being honest, like Ohio State's room is absolutely stacked right now. Yeah. And he wasn't guaranteed a job. So
yeah, I mean, it was a weird move. I mean, you're going from Ohio State and you're going to Syracuse. So it's kind of like, and no disrespect to the Orangemen, but they just haven't been super competitive in football. So it was just kind of a weird move. But, I mean, he's going to be playing for a new head coach. I mean, they brought him over from Georgia. So who knows? Maybe they can get some guys over there, because I know they've been making a couple moves here and there. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe they can put a team around him a little bit and kind of see how it goes. But definitely kind of a head scratcher a little bit, just with the pedigree that McCord was carrying. But
okay, you guys can smack me for this, but they're ACC, right?
Yeah.
They are bottom tier ACC.
Yeah, they're
I don't know about that. I don't know.
I think they're mid-level.
They haven't been great. They had.
But they haven't been like.
There's been no good ACC teams, if we're being honest.
That's what I'm saying.
It's Florida State and Clemson. That's it.
Well, Duke, North Carolina.
Well, that's true. I mean, Duke actually has been ranked the last couple of years.
NC State's had a good team.
Deuce is probably mid to below average, I'd say.
Yeah, that's fair. They're
in the bottom half. They're in the bottom half.
The bottom tier.
Yeah, they're in the bottom half.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, we talk off air about it all the time. Well, I do at least. That would be a fun dynasty to do. Syracuse leading. See if Kyle McCord. See if Kyle McCord can lead them. But I mean, JD, you kind of hit it with the competition. Listen, man, I'm not here to slam Kyle McCord. You always should do what is best for you. Like, and there's no doubt that is what he's doing. There was a lot of talk he was going to end up at Nebraska. I mean, very early on, he was going to Nebraska. And as soon as Dylan Raiola, many believe, not all, but there are a lot of people believe he is the top quarterback in the class of 2024, decided to flip his commitment from Georgia to Nebraska, Kyle McCord basically course. So I kind of agree with you, because I'm not saying Dylan Raiola would have beaten him out, but clearly he wanted to be guaranteed that I am going to start no matter where I go. So I really do think that's what happened with McCord. It would have been interesting to see him at Nebraska, because, I mean, another Big Ten school.
But you also look at what transpired with Kyle McCord versus what we heard from Brown today when he was doing the press conference. That's a completely different attitude that Devin Brown's bringing to that quarterback room. And you know what they say, iron sharpens iron. If Devin Brown is breathing down the necks of Aaron Nolan, Julian Sain, Will Howard, like, that's only going to make that room better. So I just love his comments from Devin today. And Lincoln Kienholz also reciprocated that same sentiment of I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm staying in this room. I'm working for a starting job. And, you know, chances are those guys aren't going to be starters this year, but them approaching every day like they are, I think that just speaks volumes to the types of guys what we have in the quarterback room right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. And when you're talking about quarterback rooms, especially in the Big Ten, one that is dramatically going to look different next year, and you could make I mean, we're still ways away from doing a Big Ten season preview. But when you look on paper, the team that very well is the biggest challenger for the Big Ten title next year appears to be the Oregon Ducks. And Oregon went out. Not only did they add Dylan Gabriel, they added Dante Moore to the quarterback room. So here's a good question, kind of looking back on this. Do you guys think that the Buckeyes we got Will Howard. I'm happy with Will Howard. But Dylan Gabriel arguably was the top quarterback available on the transfer market. Like, I mean, just based off his overall stats, the production that he's produced throughout his college career. There was a lot of talk Ohio State actually was interested in Dylan Gabriel, but obviously waited too long and he went to Oregon. So what I have to ask you guys, do you think the Buckeyes are going to regret passing on Dylan Gabriel at quarterback?
I don't necessarily think so. I think Will Howard brings just a different dynamic than what we've really had. Compared to McCord with his running ability, but I mean, and every report I've seen so far from Will Howard is that he's just like he's like a quiet confident. Like he's not like a super outgoing guy, but he's very confident. I mean, he's been there. He's played at the highest level. You know, he's won a conference title. So, I don't think we're going to have like regrets on passing on Dylan Gabriel by chance. But yeah, overall, I don't really think so. But I could be wrong.
So this might be a hot take, but we got Will Howard pretty late in the transfer portal process compared to the other guys. Who's to say that Dylan Gabriel just didn't want to play for Ohio State? Like we could say that we passed on him. We might have been totally in on him at the beginning, and he just wanted to stay, west. He wanted to play for a young coach that's on the rise for a team that's coming into the Big Ten. He saw a really good opportunity. So, I mean, there's a really good chance that Will Howard, and I know they've come out and said that Will Howard was our guy. He was the one we wanted from the start, but in reality, he could have been our third or fourth choice in the transfer portal. So I think for what this team needs, Will Howard is a perfect fit, but I think there's guys like Dylan Gabriel that would have fit that exact billing coming into this season. So I think just snagging one of those 3 or 4 guys, I think it's like Dylan Gabriel was one of them, Cam Ward. Like you wanted somebody that had starting experience, that had good mobility in the pocket, and that has been in big games. And I think we got that in Will Howard. So, as beggars can't be choosers, we got a guy, and he seems to be a really good fit in Columbus right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I'm happy with Will Howard. It is interesting when you see that when Ohio State decided they were going for a quarterback, and like it was reported they were interested in adding one, that they mentioned Gabriel, they mentioned Riley Leonard, but then it ends up being Will Howard. So, I mean, that's the only thing that interests me. I think Will Howard is going to succeed here. I really do, contrary to what some fans still believe, because they're like, well, this guy got benched at Kansas State, which we have been over. That's a whole other thing. But, I mean, either way, I mean, when you look at Oregon, they also add the top wide receiver and from the transfer portal. I mean, Evan Stewart's. I mean, there's no way around it. The guy's a beast. He really is. Left Texas A&M. There were some issues. It sounds like there were just a lot of issues at Texas A&M. There were a ton of players entered the portal. Evan Stewart goes to Oregon. Do you guys, as of right now, because again, we'll have a Big Ten preview here. I mean, probably after spring ball, I imagine, once we get final rosters, the transfer portal shuts for the spring. Is Oregon right now the biggest challenge to Ohio State when it comes to winning a Big Ten title, or is it still that team up north?
I think it's Oregon, man. But it's hard to say also because, the team up north is going to be ready to go, but they lost a ton. Not only with the coaching staff, but I mean, I think they had like 16 guys testing at the combine.
Yeah.
22
leaving.
Yeah, 22 leaving, 16 testing at the combine. So like they have a ton of guys, a lot of starters that are just not going to be there next year. And Oregon, I mean, from what I know, they have quite a bit coming back, don't they?
Oregon's got a lot coming back. They got Tez Johnson coming back at wide receiver. I mean, they're losing Troy Franklin. That's big. Yeah. But when you're able to bring back a guy like Tez Johnson, that's huge. You lose Bucky Irvin, which is a loss.
Yeah.
But They bring back. It's not LaMichael James. It's his brother, but they bring him back.
Oh.
That's gnarly, dude.
Dude,
Yeah.
there's a ton of Oregon's bringing back a lot of top talent, and like I said, you add Dylan Gabriel to that, who's got a lot of experience, won where he's been.
He's like,
I don't know,
he's like another Bo Nix kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Added
So
on top of that, I mean, you mentioned not only Evan Stewart, but you look at what Oregon was able to do, even just at corner. I mean, they added the top overall corner, Jabbar Muhammad. They've added Cam Alexander, another 4-star corner. And by the way, these star rankings are based off their transfer portal rankings. I don't know how they determine all that. I'm not even going to try and guess. But either way, I mean, they have added a lot of talent in the secondary from the transfer portal. I mean, Dan Lanning, there was talk he could have taken the Alabama job. There's no reason for that man to go to Alabama because he has everything he needs and even more money at Oregon than he ever would at Alabama. So
That's true.
Yeah.
Especially with the team.
Listen, I'm huge. Like I think we have a great chance to win the Big Ten title, but I'll tell you this, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Oregon somehow won it. Because Oregon's got a really good team too. They do.
Who did we play out of the 4 new entries this year? Did we play
Oregon?
just Oregon.
Just
Which really
at Oregon.
Which really sucks because I would love to. Dude, I know this isn't a schedule show, but they really dropped the ball by only letting us play Oregon. Like a USC, Ohio State, and Columbus, year one of them being in the Big Ten would have been box office, even though like no Caleb Williams, whatever, but still.
That's
USC,
an all-time great rivalry.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like USC coming to Columbus in year one would have been insane. But
I just
Dude,
think
it would.
the Big Ten's so
really
much
dropped
better
the ball.
for it. The Big Ten's so much better for these teams. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, just the history between Oregon and Ohio State.
For sure.
I mean, there's not a lot of games there, but there's a lot of really big games in that matchup. And then you look at Ohio State, USC. You know, we played in the '60s and for national titles. Just a bunch of history there. And then Washington is just another historic team. We played in the Rose Bowl, and it's just I think them bringing those 4 teams specifically, USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. It's gonna be awesome. And then I think we get a Michigan. Is it Michigan, Washington?
Michigan, Washington.
They play
Michigan
like
plays
everybody.
Washington, USC. Yeah, I mean,
Don't they play Texas too?
they do play Texas.
Dude,
Their schedule is brutal.
it is brutal.
I mean, if you guys, because this is a really good question, who is Oregon bringing back on defense? I don't have every single I'm just going to be honest. I don't have every single player in front of me. I don't have all that memorized. I just don't. But I will say this. They are returning. I mean, so far they're returning 2 linebackers, Jeff Besa, Justin Jacobs, safety Tyshim Johnson. I already mentioned on offense, Tez Johnson, Trayshawn Holden, Noah Whittington at running back. Still a defensive end, Jordan Birch, and then both their starting tight ends and right tackle, who Alonje Cornelius was someone Ohio State was trying to recruit last year. He ended up choosing Oregon, but he was statistically one of the top offensive tackles in the country this past year. They're bringing back a lot of talent.
I think, and they're the only
question, Buckeye Mob.
The only team they struggled with defensively was Washington the entire season.
Yeah.
And the only reason they probably weren't in the national championship last year was because of Washington. They just couldn't get over the Washington hump, and they played well against every single team they matched up against.
And then Liberty just got the wrath unleashed on them.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, look, poor Liberty.
Dude, that was brutal because I mean, obviously, like Liberty making it there was pretty cool, and then like, dude, you gave Oregon. But to be fair, it's what we're going to see in the college football playoff here. I mean, the not too distant future. So we got about 10 minutes left, guys. Who are some transfers? Because again, there's been a lot of big names have transferred this offseason. Who are a couple that really catch your attention that you think really improved their situation and could take that next step from just being a pretty solid starter to potential that next level star?
So for me, I'll start.
I was just gonna have a weird one. I don't really know, like if it's like a bettering his situation or what. But I know it was kind of a head scratcher. Was Malachi Nelson going to Boise State?
Dude, yeah, that's a good one, bro. That's a good one.
Because I know we had talked. I know TJ and I at least had talked about it briefly. That we thought like that's super weird because it just kind of came out of nowhere. But yeah, I mean another highly touted recruit from USC, quarterback, and I mean Caleb Williams is not going to be at USC next year, so it's kind of like he was gonna have a chance to compete for the job, and it's like, well, I'm gonna go to Boise State now, so we'll play on the blue turf, but. I don't know if he's bettering his situation or if he just didn't want to compete. But
there was a lot of weird rumors about him just not being a guy. Like,
really?
They were not super impressed with him on campus for sure.
That's the only thing that I really looked at because I was like, that's a really weird one. So
it is, but I mean, think about it, dude. Like, I think that's a good opportunity for a guy like that. I mean, you have the opportunity to go lead a program like that, and let's say he even balls out, dude, improve your situation and leave, which he very well might.
Yeah, I mean, he can stay for a year and ball out this year and then go to another, big team. I don't know.
That's such a weird dynamic of college football now is you can use these smaller tier situations like Boise State to catapult yourself almost like a year in the G League.
Yeah, literally.
To go into the NBA, like you can use these smaller schools to your advantage, and you never would have been able to do that with the previous transfer.
It's like junior college,
almost,
at the same level as all the other schools.
Dude, it's wild. It really like
a lower tier SEC school. If you can get a scholarship from Missouri or like one of these schools that's just not as big as an Alabama or a Georgia, and use that to your advantage to get to that point. That I didn't even think about that being a possibility, but
crazy, man.
To kind of segue into mine, so with Nick Saban leaving, you saw this like mass exodus of Alabama players from that 30-day window. And so, obviously, I think Ohio State got to take advantage of it more so than a lot of teams. But we got Caleb Downs, number one player in the transfer portal on a lot of different sites, not just 24/7 Sports, but I think like ESPN had him number one as well. But I think the most interesting was the Kaden Proctor, because we were also interested in Kaden Proctor as well. He was number one tackle in the transfer portal. And he just decided to go home. He just wanted to go back to Iowa. And I know it sucks in Iowa. Their offense is like watching paint dry. But they produce great tackles out of Iowa. We've had Tristan Wirfs in the past and a couple other guys that are still playing in the NFL. So I thought that was a really interesting transfer, just looking at it. And then Isaiah Bond as well. He had some really big plays for Alabama there down the stretch, especially I think he caught the Auburn touchdown on the 4th and 26.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of really good moments, but I think him transferring to Texas, playing with Quinn Ewers in that offense, especially when they lost Xavier Murphy and they're
Xavier Worthy.
Worthy, sorry.
But they did lose Malik Murphy, so I can understand where.
Yeah, sorry. Murphy, yeah, same thing.
That's an interesting one too.
Yeah. Where did he end up going?
Duke.
Yeah. He's replacing Riley Leonard, dude.
Yeah, dude. He might bring that program to relevance, dude.
Bro, there are so many.
Malik Murphy is so good.
I know this show isn't about the new college football video game, but when you talk about these things, how can you not in your mind just think, dude, this team would be so fun in a dynasty mode with all these young players? Like, oh my goodness.
You have Murphy, 6'4",
just running around in circles,
240,
chucking it 60 yards.
As a cannon. Yeah, I think I think the Bond thing going to Texas, I think he could be like a 1,000-yard receiver next year for them, just with how their offense is set up. So I think that was a big time move for them to get some offensive firepower. And that's really it. I think, the Chili's thing was cool too. It's Aiden Chili's transferred to Michigan State with the head coach, right? So he left.
Some believe he was the top quarterback available. There are a few sites I've seen that think Childs is like the real deal.
It looks like Chili.
Like he's really good. I haven't seen anything to know, so I can't relate. But I mean, there's a lot of hype around him being pretty stinking good.
He what was their coach's name? Smith?
Jonathan Smith. They hired him early. They hired him very early.
They are really high on him to turn that program around. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it. I don't think it's going to be a year one thing, but you never know.
Buckeye Mob, that's what the goal of this show was, my friend.
Dude.
That's what the goal of this show was. I got a couple. I'm going to start off with someone that none of us have mentioned, but the reason I'm going to mention this guy is because Ohio State was interested, but they didn't pursue it very heavy because I'm pretty sure they knew who all was coming back. And honestly, I don't think this guy would have came here anyway because with how good he is wanting to sit a year. LT Overton going to Alabama to replace Dallas Turner is such a huge pickup for them. I mean, he's still – now who knows, does he go if Nick Saban doesn't retire? I don't know. But he stays in the SEC. He's going to a top-tier program. And he's a stud. I mean, he's going to be the next probably great defensive end at Alabama. Again, Ohio State was interested, but Alabama sealed that pretty early. And I think deep down, some of these guys knew Ohio State was bringing people back because they were also interested in Trey Moore, who ended up at Texas. He was supposed to visit Ohio State. Ohio State pulled the plug on that visit. So that one's interesting. Another one that comes to mind, and the reason this one just interests me is because how this guy shared a backfield with anyone as good as he is just makes no sense. Now, don't get me wrong. That's what we're going to see with Judkins and Travion Henderson. But as bad as Florida is, dude, why is Trevor Etienne not getting 20, 25 touches a game? And then he has the opportunity to go to Georgia. Like, come on, man. Like, why? Like, how do you let that happen?
It's going to be silly over there in Athens, dude. Like, Carson Beck back, and then you add Etienne in the backfield. Like, ugh.
I saw a lot of really, really salty Florida fans in the comments. I think he came out and said, like, why would I be an RB2 on a crappy team when I could
on a losing team?
Yeah, and when I could be an RB1 on Georgia, you know, like
duh.
And like the comments were just like, dude, you sucked at Florida. Like, or like, man, like why, like you sucked here. Like, why would we care if you like, they were just salty.
And you know what's funny is like, they're just salty because they don't, I feel like a lot of these people don't really fully understand the untapped potential that Etienne has. Like the dude is
dude, he's
so good.
He just wasn't involved enough. Like, and that's, dude, they're losing Brock Bowers and Lad McConkey, which is like, I'm not going to say they're not big losses, but when you bring in Trevor Etienne, you still bring back Carson Beck. Georgia's going to be right there again. And the fact that they got Trevor Etienne, it just how Florida let that happen, man. Billy Napier's running a horrible program, but no, I don't care about Florida. It's just more so hilarious that you let your top talent go.
Are we thinking Alabama takes a step back next year? With what they have lost
until I see it,
yeah, I can't argue.
I just don't know, man. Like I think DeBoer is a good coach, I do, and I think they're going to add some people in the portal. I mean, let's not forget the portal's going to open in about a month and a half. I think they're going to add some more guys. They might have some enter, but I just think it's going to work out there for him. I really do. I guess time will tell. But the resources are there. He has everything there he needs. I mean, more resources there than at Washington.
So we're going to have another wave of transfer portal.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. But I will say it won't be as – there probably will be a lot of names, but it won't be like 4 and 5-star guys that we had this offseason.
A lot of guys that had a crappy spring and they need to reassess their situation. I feel
like they got it.
Buckeye fans will want to keep an eye on the offensive tackles. Just telling you right now.
Yeah.
They will be looking at offensive tackle. There's a guy from Georgia. He's a grad transfer that entered. He started 12 games last year. I don't know. I'm just saying he entered the other day. Now they can't do anything now, but you are allowed to enter the portal.
Right.
So
you can't have any contact, nothing, correct?
I mean, technically, but let's be real. Let's be real.
Contact, correct?
Let's be real. It's happening. There's no control over this now.
No, it's free for all. Dude, it is NFL free agency times like 100, it feels like. Like, it's insanity. It really is.
Before we hop off, I want to toot my own horn a little bit.
Player, JD. I got one more player. Then you can toot your horn. Okay.
Oh, my.
Listen, I got to hit on this guy because Will Howard is going to be compared all year to how this guy does. Because there were Buckeye fans pounding the table, and I'll admit I wanted him to. Cam Ward going to Miami. Is Cam Ward really this good? Is Cam Ward – are we going to regret passing on Cam Ward? But the biggest thing with him is he turns it over way too much. Is Cam Ward good enough to elevate a program? Because everyone's saying if the Buckeyes got Cam Ward, they win a title and it's a no-brainer and whatever. I really want to see if Cam Ward is actually good enough to lead Miami back to being relevant because honestly, I'm skeptical that he can do that. So Cam Ward's my last guy.
If he gets them to the ACC championship,
that's a win.
I think that's
a win. Oh yeah,
a win for Miami. Yeah, absolutely.
10-win season's a win.
It's just so funny because it's like Cam Ward's like, oh yeah, I'm going to the NFL. I'm declaring for the draft, and then at the 11th hour, Miami was like, hold on, sir, let me back the Brinks truck up for you real quick, and
couple million.
We'll throw you the bag real quick. No. I mean, yeah, Cam Ward would have been great in the Scarlet and Gray, but let's see how he plays as a Miami Hurricane.
Buckeye Mom, I'll give you a deal. If we get 10 likes or more on this video, we'll consider doing a part 2. It is an off season, so
there are a lot of players covered.
There are
so many guys.
Okay, hey, listen. Okay. All right, okay. You guys get 10 likes on this video. We will do a part 2 after the spring transfer portal. 10 likes have to go onto this video right now, just as an update, because I am going to look. We are at, I think we're only at 3, but I'm going to double check here.
I better go.
We are at 3 likes right now.
Should I we have to get the numbers?
Okay, we're at 4 now. So you need 6 likes, and we will do a part 2 after the spring transfer portal closes. With that, JD, end it by tooting your own horn.
All right, so when Julian Fleming entered the portal, I called the team he would transfer to, which was Penn State. I think that one was just like a no-brainer, though, because they were second in his recruitment. He's from Pennsylvania. He's the number 1 Pennsylvania receiver coming out, ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. in the same class, but that's neither here nor there. I just thought it was a perfect matchup for Fleming and Penn State. So I just want to toot my own horn there a little bit. I called it.
Hey, man. Congratulations. I will say
you're my hero.
I will just tell you, a lot of analysts making that same connection. But to be fair, you had it.
JD said it first.
I said it on the show.
He did.
I said I just made too much sense, you know. I'm 1 for 1 on transfer portal prediction.
All right. We got 7 likes, 3 more. So you guys have till what? June, July to do that. So we'll see. We'll see. Hey man, here's the thing though about YouTube videos. Once you watch, like
they get lost in the shelf.
Yeah, it'll just get lost because we have shows every single day on this channel. So it might get lost. You guys, but you guys got till June or July.
Well, hey, we'll clip it up. We'll drop some clips on Twitter, and then
I'll drop some clips. Jermaine, yeah, just get people to like the video. That's all they have to do. Honestly, it's so easy. So as we're wrapping things up, guys, is there anything else you want to add on this episode?
Buckeye basketball, 4-1 in their last 5. Jake Diebler got them on the right track.
Hey.
Got a game at Rutgers to end the regular season, and it's tournament time, baby. Go Bucks.
Hey, we're getting in, dude. We're getting in.
Bubble team.
We're going to big dance. Big dance.
I love it. I love it. Oh, man. And LeBron's son might come to Ohio State, but that's a subject for a whole That's a subject for a whole other day.
We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later.
Bring him here. Bring him home. All right.
You're going to kill me. All right. Well, we appreciate everyone tuned into this episode of the Scarlet and Gray podcast. The episode will be uploaded tomorrow evening, so you guys want to make sure you check it out. But also, if you want that part 2, you know what to do. Drop a like, subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. We got some Browns content for you guys coming up on Tuesday with the Yard Dogs podcast and the Barking Brown Show. Make sure you guys don't miss any of it. This has been episode 48 of the Scarlet and Gray podcast. We will talk to you guys all again soon. And of course, as always, go Buckeyes.